Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either May 16th or 17th, 2023. And I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? Let's start off this video like we start off this video most of the time by taking a look back at my pick from 2 weeks ago, which was Batman issue 135. And the question remains, was it a worthy and worthwhile book to be my just one book pick of the week? And the answer is yes. Yes, it was. A 900th anniversary issue is a big deal. And oftentimes they will take that opportunity to look back, in Batman's case, at the decades of history of the character. Sometimes through short little side stories, maybe through other types of features. There was none of that in this book. It was all story. It was an oversized book that was all Chip Zdarsky, all story, and I really enjoyed all of it. They used the multiverse aspects of the story that Chip Zdarsky has been telling to kind of give us that retrospective on Batman, and I really enjoyed it. It was something that I look for often in my comic books and always in my life, and that is, it was fun. It was a really fun and satisfying ending to this current arc of Batman from Chip Zdarsky. So I thought it was great and absolutely a worthy and worthwhile just one book pick. I will add that in hindsight, you would probably argue that the book to get 2 weeks ago was Star Wars issue number 34. There was a first appearance in there that people got really excited about. It was already on my pull. I went ahead and picked up 4 more copies at cover price. I don't know if it's going to blow up and be super valuable in the future. It was an enjoyable read, but I still think that my pick of Batman 135 was the just one book pick of the week for me 2 weeks ago. All right, let's go ahead now and move forward with the content of this video by taking a look at the books that are coming out this week. Now, as has been the case the past several weeks, there's a lot of them. So I'm going to try to move through them as quickly as possible and comment on them as little as possible. First book I want to mention to you this week is a new book. It is called Arcade Kings, issue number 1 of the 5-issue limited series from Image Comics. Here's the description. Round 1, fight. Writer and artist Dylan Burnett unveils a new Prestige Comics series sensation. Perfect for fans of Invincible and Murder Falcon. Joe, a mysterious new face in Infinity City, has suddenly become the hottest new player at the Roundhouse Arcade. Anyone can challenge him, but no one can win. But Joe's secret past is about to catch up to him when his most formidable challenge yet rolls into town, forcing Joe to combo his powers with a joystick, his fists, and his fighting family legacy. Not only am I an enjoyer of comic books, I'm also an enjoyer of video games. I'm actually wearing a video game t-shirt right now. This is a Destiny t-shirt. I was obsessed with this game for years. So you might think that this book would be of particular interest to me, but the idea of a comic book about somebody playing a video game against other people sounds like a challenge to be very entertaining. And this book is a prestige format book, apparently. It's $7.99, so it's oversized. So it's $8 times 5. It's a $40 commitment if you want to get in on the whole thing. And I just don't know about it. So if it sounds interesting to you, great. Let me know if you read it, what you thought of it, down in the comments. The next book I want to mention to you is House of Slaughter, issue number 15 from Boom Studios. Here's the description. In the final issue of the 3rd story arc, Jace will have to make a difficult choice between vengeance and rescuing Sunny from the White Masks. But just as Sunny has to deal with the monster within, Jace unleashes his rage in a more terrifying way than the children have ever witnessed. So this is on the list this week because it is the one and the only book that I have pulled for this week. I have, as you all know, I'm a big Something is Killing the Children fan. I have been reading House of Slaughter. It's been hit and miss, although this current arc of House of Slaughter has been probably the best of the 3 arcs, but I did like the second arc. So I'm interested to see where the story's going and how this arc is going to end. So it's been very entertaining to me and getting better all the time. So I enjoy it. Once again, it is the one book that was on my pull list. I'll also be pulling my just one book pick, but that was not on my pull until I decided to add it after doing research for this video. But anyways, House of Slaughter's great. I enjoy it. Might not be for everybody, but I mention it because I'm buying it this week. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It is called Miss Truesdale and the Fall of Hyperborea. Issue number 1 of a 4-issue limited series from Dark Horse Comics. Here's the description. One of the last followers of a failing Heliopic Brotherhood of Ra, the unassuming Miss Truesdale finds herself on the receiving end of Brotherhood leader Tefnut Trionis's final vision, connecting her life in Victorian London to a young gladiators in ancient Hyperborea. Truesdale discovers she now has the chance to change the future by altering the bygone past. Mike Mignola, creator of the Hellboy universe, and artist Jesse Lonergan team up to tell an all-new supernatural horror tale. The beginning of a new Mignolaverse series. And that is the main reason why I am mentioning this book this week, is the Mike Mignola of it all. The description sounds very dense, maybe a bit convoluted, so I hope it's a good story, but Mike Mignola is great, a proven talent. If you're a fan of his, you're going to be all over this. And excuse me. If you like the idea of somebody like going into their past life to change the future kind of storytelling, you might consider picking this up this week. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It is The Avengers, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. Jed MacKay and Stormbreaker C.F. Villa take the reins of Earth's mightiest heroes. The Star, the Icon, the Witch, the Construct, the God, the Engineer, the King. The world is ever in peril, and a new team of Avengers mobilizes to meet any dangers that dare to threaten the planet. But when Terminus attacks, a new and insidious danger rears its head, one that the Avengers know all too well, and one that comes to them in the most dangerous of guises, that of a friend. So I mentioned the Avengers issue number 1 because it's the Avengers issue number 1. We're starting over with the Avengers. The Marvel universe of characters is super fantastic. And you put a bunch of them together and you have an Avengers level problem to solve. That's good stuff right there. So we couldn't be in a week where we're gonna have a new Avengers series starting up, and at least it not being an honorable mention. Now, the last one was really good and really successful, so they've got some shoes to fill here, but we'll see if it pans out. And also, I wonder with the new writer coming on, if they're going to want to come in and like do something that really gets people excited. So it's at least something that's worth having on your radar. In the same vein, I will mention that this week, Avengers issue number 1, the facsimile edition of the original of Avengers issue number 1, is coming out this week. This is one of those books that I would suggest maybe picking up. You're never going to really own one for yourself unless you have lots and lots of money. This is a great opportunity to read a classic comic book story in a facsimile edition. If you're a Marvel Comics fan, I would recommend picking up this Avengers facsimile. And speaking of facsimiles, while we're on the topic, I want to mention that the X-Men issue number 1 from 1991 from Marvel Comics has a facsimile edition coming out this week. they're, oh, I cut off how much they're charging for it. I think they're charging like $7 for it, which is a little bit crazy to me because you could probably buy the gatefold version of this book, or the original one in like perfect condition from 1991 for about $10, maybe $15. So I would steer you in that direction. But it's that great Jim Lee cover, and the gatefold will fold out. It's brand new, it's pristine. If any of those things interest you, I just wanted to kind of let you know there is a facsimile for that book coming out this week. All right, let's get back on track and look at the new books that are coming out this week, or continue to, I should say. The next thing I want to mention to you is Danny Ketch, Ghost Rider, issue number 1 of a 5-issue limited series from Marvel Comics. Here's the description. Danny Ketch is back. Flashback to a time when innocent blood was spilled, a spirit of vengeance was born, and Danny Ketch found himself transformed into the Ghost Rider. A gang war is breaking out across New York City, with Ghost Rider caught in the middle. But if it's just rival gangs killing each other, does Ghost Rider need to get involved? Join us for an untold tale written by Danny Ketch, co-creator Howard Mackey, and artist Daniel Picciotto. One of those was maybe close. I mentioned this book this week because Ghost Rider's very cool. Danny Ketch is the Ghost Rider from the 90s. So when I was first collecting comic books, this was the Ghost Rider that I knew. And actually, the copy of Ghost Rider 1 that I bought when I was a kid of this series featuring Danny Ketch, I submitted to CGC recently and got a 9.8 on, which I was stoked about. So just because Ghost Rider is awesome and Danny Ketch is a legitimately popular Ghost Rider, if you're a fan of Ghost Rider, and I could understand why you would be, yeah, I wanted this to be on your radar. The next book I want to mention to you is, I probably should have mentioned it when I was mentioning all the reprints coming out this week, but I will let you know that Spider-Man issue number 7, which came out a couple months ago, that had the first appearance of Spider-Boy in it. The second print of that is coming out this week. Should you spec on that? Probably not. I think there's going to be a lot more copies of the second print out there than there were of the first print, which I think is going to make it a lot less valuable than the first print. That being said, you really can't find a first print now for less than $25 or so, and this is only going to cost you $4. So maybe if you want to read the story, or it's possible the second print might have small increases in value over the time, so maybe there's some spec potential there. Regardless, you decide for yourself whether or not it's a book that you want to spec on. I don't think I'm going to buy any copies of it. But you decide for yourself if you want to spec on it and how hard you want to spec on it. I at least wanted it to be on your radar. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It is Disney Villains Maleficent. I think I pronounced that correctly. Issue number 1 from Dynamite. Here's the description. Disney and Dynamite proudly present Maleficent, Queen of the Forbidden Mountain. Her realm is shrouded in darkness and evil, and full of all things that go bump in the night. Her soul is cold, hardened by a lifetime of small-minded wanderers seeking to steal her powers to satisfy their mortal greed. Her patience wears thin. Her mystical might grows. It is a matter only of time before she descends the mountain and unleashes her horrible magics upon the powerless people below. A stunning vision of villainy from writer and artist Sue Lee. Maleficent is a cool Disney villain, and this is continuing the series of comic books coming from Dynamite, featuring stories, miniseries featuring stories, I think they're miniseries, featuring stories of Disney bad guys and gals. This could be very entertaining for the Disney fan, for kids, maybe too scary for kids. I'm not quite sure. You'll have to vet that for yourself, parents. But this is a classic Disney character, classic Disney villain, probably pretty cool. I heard the Scar story was entertaining and good, so I'm hoping for more of that here. And the covers for this. A lot of them are super fantastic. So you might consider picking this up purely as a cover buy. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It is called Blood, Love, Ghosts, and a Deadly Spell. Issue number 1 from Fair Square Comics LLC. Here's the description. Off the huge successes of his previous comics, You Promised Me Darkness and Follow Me Into Darkness, here's a little gem Damian Connolly saved for last. Blood, Love, Ghosts, and a Deadly Spell is a dark, atmospheric 64-page volume filled with horrific tales from the inimitable mind of Damian Connolly, author of the best-selling hits You Promised Me Darkness and Follow Me Into Darkness. The book contains 4 never-seen-before self-contained horror short stories and an illustrated poem that will terrify, unsettle, and astonish. Okay, so if you were a fan of Damian Connolly and You Promised Me Darkness or Follow Me Into Darkness, or if you're a fan of self-contained horror short stories, you might consider picking up this book this week. It actually looks pretty cool. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It is called Dark Spaces, Good Deeds, issue number 1 from IDW. Here's the description. Scott Snyder's Dark Spaces anthology line returns with an all-new story and creative team. In search of a fresh start, teenager Cheyenne Collins and her mother, Rebecca, moved to St. Augustine, Florida, where they cross paths with Jean McKnight, a disgraced big city journalist determined to pay her dues and rebuild her career, starting with a fluff piece on the town's upcoming 450th anniversary celebration. When the quaint community's festivities give way to bloodshed, and Cheyenne is the sole witness, Jean begins an investigation, and the women find themselves at the heart of the supernatural conspiracy linked to St. Augustine's colonial past. Together, they vow to expose the town's historical sins. But the deeper Jean digs, the less clear it becomes. Who is Cheyenne Collins? And when does a quest for truth become a thirst for vengeance? So I didn't read Scott Snyder's Dark Spaces, so I have no context here for any of this, but I do think Scott Snyder is a talented writer and worth noting, but he's not writing this. This is being written by somebody named Che Grayson, but it's building on a world already established by Scott Snyder. It sounds interesting. Will it be interesting? I don't know, but I put it on your radar. The next book I want to mention to you is Star Trek, the Motion Picture Echoes, issue number 1 from IDW. Here's the description. From critically acclaimed screenwriter, producer, and comics writer Mark Guggenheim comes a brand new miniseries detailing a never-before-seen adventure from Captain Kirk and the crew of the USS Enterprise. When a space anomaly thrusts a bounty hunter and her target, a criminal mastermind, into their universe, it's up to Kirk and his crew to stop them from unintentionally starting a war with the Romulans and unleashing a superweapon of foreign tech into the system. But the strangers from another universe are more familiar than they assume, for underneath their helmets they are their doppelgangers from an alternate reality. So a lot of attention gets paid to Star Wars. Star Wars is immensely popular. I love Star Wars. I have to admit, I also really love Star Trek. Star Trek is way more heady than Star Wars, but Star Trek is awesome. I really, really enjoy it. There's a lot of Star Trek comic books that come out, a decent amount. I ignore them. This one, I couldn't ignore. I had to at very least mention it to you. So if you're a Star Trek fan, I would highly recommend picking this up this week, or if you're even just Star Trek curious. This sounds like it could be pretty good. It's from writer Mark Guggenheim, and he's good, so consider that. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It is Batman, The Brave and the Bold, issue number 1 from DC. Here is the very long description. I'm going to read it as quickly as possible. Written by Tom King, Ed Brisson, Christopher Cantwell, and Dan Mora. Art by Mitch Gerards, Jeff Spokes, Javier Rodriguez, and Dan Mora. Coming off the spectacular success of Batman One Bad Day, The Riddler, the Eisner Award-winning team of Tom King and Mitch Gerads reunite for a horrifying 4-part retelling of the first bloody clash between the Joker and the Batman. A tale of loathing, lies, and laughter. This may be the most frightening Joker story in a generation. Everyone is going to be shocked. Everyone is going to be talking about it. The Justice League may be gone, but its enemies aren't. Who will protect the world from the worst of the worst? Ed Brisson and Jeff Spokes pick up the story started in the Wildstorm 30th Anniversary Special as Director Bones and his new covert Stormwatch team travel the globe on Black Ops missions to take superpowered weapons of mass destruction off the board. But this is Stormwatch, and as always, not all is as it seems. Down with the Kings starts here. Superstar artist Dan Mora makes his writing debut, kicking off a new series of Batman Black and White short stories. In a Gotham City overrun by the cybernetic henchmen of the Joker, the only person who can save us is the mysterious motorcycle-riding bat costume hero of urban legend. In the Order of the Black Lamp, Part 1, from writer Christopher Cantwell and artist Javier Rodriguez, Superman finds a decoder ring with a secret message, "Save me," which sends him on a quest to solve a mystery with ties to the Man of Steel's past. This is an oversized book. It costs $7.99. I'm not going to comment about it anymore. If those things sounded interesting to you, consider picking it up. The next book I want to mention to you is Cyborg, issue number 1 of a 6-issue limited series from DC. Here's the description. When a family emergency brings Cyborg back home to Detroit, Victor Stone surprisingly finds himself enjoying his return to the simpler life, where everybody sees him for who he really is and always was, rather than a larger-than-life superhero. It's been a while since Vic's been able to lower his guard and seek a purpose outside of being Cyborg 24/7. But a lot has changed in Detroit while Victor's been away. An aggressive new company is turning the Motor City into an overclocked engine for revolutionary artificial intelligence. And no one knows better than Cyborg that technological transformation always comes at a steep human price. Milestone Initiative writer Morgan Hampton joins forces with veteran star artist Tom Rainey to give Cyborg the dawn of DC epic he deserves. If you are interested in a Cyborg solo series, you might consider picking this up this week. The next book I want to mention to you is Titans, issue number 1 from DC. Here's the description. The Dark Crisis is over, and the Justice League is no more. Now, a new team must rise and protect the Earth. Titans, go! The Teen Titans are ready to grow up. Each member joined as a much younger hero, certain that one day they'd be invited to join the Justice League. But the time has come for them not to join the League, but to replace it. Are the no longer teen heroes ready for the big leagues? Danger lurks around every corner as heroes and villains alike challenge the new team before they've even begun. Will the DCU ever be the same? Find out in this landmark first issue brought to you by the all-star creative team of Tom Taylor and Nicola Scott. So the Tom Taylor of it all is interesting. The Titans themselves is a cool team. That's interesting to me. If I was bored, I would probably just pick this up just to check it out, because I think Tom Taylor could actually do some really good things with the Titans group here. So if it's interesting to you, you might consider picking it up this week. All right, that brings us to the last book that I'm going to talk about in this video, and it is going to be my just one book pick of the week, and that book is The Vigil, issue number 1 of a 6-issue limited series from DC. Here's the description. Who are the Vigil? The shipping vessel East Wind was taken captive by pirates off the coast of Thailand. 24 hours after the crew had been taken hostage, before communications had been established or any demands made, the crew reported an intervention by a group of unknown individuals. Amid other bizarre claims by the crew are reports of an individual who changed his appearance at will and a woman who seemingly dodged bullets. Once the pirates were taken out, no attempts were made at rescuing the crew. There have long been rumors rogue metahumans targeting weaponized illegal technology. Okay, with some hinting that they call themselves the Vigil. What were they after? Why did they intervene? Are there metas among us? Stay tuned for more. You are being watched. Okay, so this is a pure gut choice. It's just I'm going with my gut on this one, and my gut is telling me to pay attention to this book. It's something new and fresh from DC, and that is noteworthy in and of itself, I have to admit. When I saw this book in the list of this week's books coming out, I asked myself the same question that was at the beginning of this description. Who are the Vigil? Because the description sounded interesting to me. I went to Key Collector and I found this, where it says that this issue might feature a possible first appearance of Castle, a member of Vigil. And it basically mentions that this is a solo series featuring the newly introduced team, the Vigil, a group of rogue metahumans targeting weaponized illegal technology. And so I was like, oh, well, it sounds like the Vigil as a team, in part, has shown up someplace else before. So I did a little bit more digging, and I found that indeed they have. They first appeared in this book right here, this DC Universe Lazarus Planet Next Evolution, this Heroes Forged book. That's their first appearance. Now, I am going to be looking for this book. I would like to find and pick up copies of this book if I can. In fact, I'll probably check eBay to get a sense of it, which I haven't done yet, as soon as this video is done. But I think this might be a good book to have. But I think this 6-issue miniseries, The Vigil, that's coming out, is also one to pay attention to, because they're hinting at the fact that new characters will probably pop up in it. Potentially this Castle character in issue number 1, potentially other characters in issues number 2 and beyond. So it sounds kind of interesting to me, and new and fresh from DC. So for those reasons, it got my spidey sense tingling, and it made me think, you know, this is something not to be ignored. It might be worth checking out because it's new and fresh. So if that sounds interesting to you, be like me and give it a shot and make it your just one book pick for the week. I can pick a book like this week and pick it up and try it out because, like I said, I only have one other book that I'm pulling, so it's easy for me to just go ahead and try something new. So if it's a light week for you as well, you know, maybe The Vigil is something to consider checking out. That's it. I'm sure this video is much too long. Thank you for sticking with me all the way to the end. Likes are appreciated by me, so hit that like button if you would. And subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.